Well, the new year is here, and it's this time of year that everyone starts doing these kinds of videos, the year in review video. And today we're going to be going through the best and the worst of Raid Shadow Legends in 2025. Let's do this! Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Hollywood here with another Raid Shadow Legends video. On the video today, we're going to be going through the very best and the worst of 2025 in Raid Shadow Legends. So with this video, I like to stay positive and optimistic, and even with these best and worst lists, I'm going to focus on the positive on this, and I'm also going to be talking about what we can expect and what we'd like to see happen in 2026. So starting off the video here, I'm going to start with the worst of 2025, and then I'm going to move on to some likes and predictions and stuff I'd like to see in 2026, and then we're going to go and finish off with the very best of 2025. To kick off the list here of kind of misses of 2025, I'm going to start off with the community weeks that we had earlier in the year. For this champion here, Udex Artor. So this guy here, Udex Artor, I found was a bit of a miss. The interesting thing about this champion here is that this champion is pretty much designed in a way that he's really only useful for really beginner and early accounts. He's interestingly kind of like an epic in disguise. He's kind of a weak healer, he's kind of a weak reviver. And then the very odd thing that they did with this character, right after they had the character for the community weeks, they did a Titan event right after that to get this guy's 5-star soul, which is really counterintuitive because the kind of people that would need this champion aren't going to be able to have the resources to do a Titan event right after this. So the people who could do the Titan event really didn't need this guy, and the people who really kind of did need this guy in a new account wouldn't have been able to do a Titan event anyway. So this one was kind of a miss for me. If this guy was an amazing champion, like a really good champion, a Titan event would have been worth it for him, because the people that could have done the Titan event and would have done the Titan event would have been able to use this guy. I don't use this guy hardly ever. I use him in Faction Wars, and I use him in a little bit of Cursed City, and that's about it. I don't use him in the new Grim Forest area. So for me, this guy was a little bit of a miss for 2025, and I hope the community weeks next year is a little bit better than this guy. The year prior, I believe we had Wixwell on the community events, and he was a well-designed champion that everyone wants. We'll see what happens in 2026. Next up on the slight misses and kind of head scratchers of 2025 wasn't the Thol and Foulbeard fusion. It was what Plarium did right after the fusion, or actually during the fusion, which was offering this character as a promo code to new players called the Demon Slayer as a free character for signing up for Raid. And this was a bit of a head scratcher because it kind of made the long-term community of Raid kind of question why they're doing that. It's a great champion, and this Thol and Foulbeard fusion was one of the more difficult fusions of 2025. One good thing about that was that new players were able to get this champion, and I still believe that they're able to get this champion with a Thol and Foulbeard Demon Slayer new player code. But at the time, it was kind of a miss because the community was thinking, why is Plarium offering this character for free and everyone else has to do this really intense fusion in order to get this character? So yeah, the Demon Slayer code was a slight miss of 2025. Or it could be a slight win, depending on your perspective. If you're a new player, it's a win. If you're kind of a long-term player of this game and you had to go through the fusion, which was a very intense fusion, this Demon Slayer code was a bit of a miss and was a bit of a head-scratcher. Coming up next on the slight misses of 2025, again, it wasn't the fusion of Titus Blackplume. It was a kind of head-scratcher what they did after that, which was putting his 5-star soul in a winner-take-all event, and only 1 in 50 people were able to get his 5-star soul. The interesting and disappointing thing with this is that they make this really amazing champion that can work really well for big boss fights as a big boss killer and a massive nuker, and then they tell the community that only 1 in 50 people are able to get his 5-star soul. Now, the one thing that Plarium could have done to make this a massive win, instead of putting his 5-star soul in a winner-take-all event, they should have made a hero's path for this hero, like they did with the Crocad and Packmaster champions, and they should have put his 5-star soul into a path event with Wixwell, so that people would be able to get both this champion's 5-star soul and Wixwell and use this guy in a more optimal way. Now, I don't have Wixwell, so I don't use this guy. I've tried to get Wixwell a number of times in a number of progressive events, but without Wixwell or some activating champion, Titus isn't really very useful. So for me, this was a miss of 2025. For some people who had Wixwell and were able to get his 5-star soul in the winner-take-all event, this would have been a win. But I think for a lot of people, this kind of was a miss that kind of whiffed and was pretty good on paper, but then really missed the mark. So next up on the list of slight misses of 2025, again, it wasn't the fusion of Sanguine Maria, it was the fact that they went and they nerfed this character during this Champions Fusion event based on content creator testing on the test server in scenarios that weren't realistic for the average player. Now, this character should have been more viable in PvE, and with the nerf, they made this champion almost exclusively a PvP champion, which is disappointing because it makes this character less useful all round. And then again, the same with the Titus fusion, they ended up putting this character's 5-star soul into a winner-take-all event. Now, that event, I did end up winning that event, but it still doesn't mean I liked winning that event and only 1 in 50 people were able to get that soul, because Sanguine Maria is a really cool champion and she's very good in arena. It's disappointing that they went and nerfed her when they didn't need to nerf her, because she could have been used a lot better. What this nerf did is this nerf watered down this character so that she's less useful in more areas of the game, and that's disappointing. Now, she is a great PvP champion, but she shouldn't just be a PvP champion. She should be able to be somewhat useful in PvE content, but the fact that she can't do her mechanics on bosses is disappointing, and the nerf was unnecessary. Along the same lines with this nerf, they also nerfed April O'Neil for the same kinds of reasons, because she was able to do PvE content that they didn't initially predict. So this nerfing of champions during their events is one thing that was kind of a miss of 2025 with Plarium. Now, I also have April, and I did get April's 5-star soul, and April I think is a very cool champion. The one little bit of miss with April is that they probably should have made April have a revive in her kit. Being a Sacred Order champion, they could have easily made that part of her lore, and that would have made this champion a much more useful champion, because there is no reviver champion on the Turtles team. And I think if they would have put a revive on April O'Neil, it would have made her a much more useful champion. And I think the people who maybe skipped the Titan event maybe would have gone for her Titan event had they put a revive in her kit. On our second last and runner-up misses of 2025 was the Chaos Awakes event. Now, one of the things that made this event a miss was that the event dungeon was slightly overtuned and had to be redone and made better, and the fact that Kurosa, the featured champion, the mythic champion, did not have a guaranteed event. Now, there were opportunities to get this champion during the event, but unlike the Alice event or the Turtles event, where you could get all the turtles in guaranteed events, this champion did not have a guaranteed event. Even the Turtles had a guaranteed event for Shredder, which was a winner-take-all chase event. But this event for Kurosa, for the Chaos Awakes event, should have had a guaranteed event, and that would have made this event end with a bang instead of a whimper. Now, on the Alice event, they offered up the Queen of Hearts in a winner-take-all champion training event, and that was a very fun event. And they should have done the very same thing for Kurosa. Having an event like that for Kurosa, 1 in 50 people, wouldn't have been too hard for this event to do. Now, some of the pluses of that event were the fact that Lemonici and Tholen Foulbeard were good champions during that event. And Lemonici was a free login champion, and she was originally knocked a bit for not being as much of a useful champion as people thought. But in the new content for Grim Forest and in Curse City as well, Lemonici is a very good champion and a very useful champion. She's got a couple of very good debuffs, and she's a very good champion. So what was the biggest miss of 2025? You guessed it, the Ishiyama Fusion. Now, this was a really weird and another head-scratching move by Plarium, and a little bit tone-deaf, when the community was kind of screaming for a Reviver champion for the Shadowkin. We get this champion, which is really bizarre. And I know on my count, I've never used this guy. I've never even leveled him up to 60. I've leveled this guy up to 50 just for champion training tournaments, but that's pretty much it. I don't use this guy anywhere. Unlike the Yukimasa event. Now, with Yukimasa, we finally get a Reviver champion for the Shadowkin, but he's not a traditional Reviver. And a traditional Reviver champion is still something that Plarium should do in 2026, and that'll move us into our 2026 wants for 2026. We do need a Reviver champion, a traditional Reviver champion for the Shadowkin. In my opinion, one of the champions that is slightly missed that should have a Revive in their kit is Mikage. Now, Mikage is an interesting support champion with kind of a mishmash of mixed utility in her kit. And for me, she's not as optimal or as useful as she could be. And she's the kind of champion that really should have a Revive in her kit. But let's see what we get in 2026. So, with the Ishiyama, the immovable fusion, that wraps up our top misses of 2025. And let's move on to what we want to see happen in 2026. So moving on to my wishes, predictions, hopes for 2026, here is the kind of things I would like to see happen in 2026. I'd like to see a periodic sort of a bracket tournament and expansion of Arena where we can get like an 8-player bracket tournament, sort of like they do in the old Pokemon game or what they do in Final Fantasy XIV with their Triple Triad game. An 8-player bracket tournament periodically, let's say every 2 or 3 hours, where people could join an 8-player bracket, maybe use gems, 5 or 10 gems or 25 as a wager or an entry fee for the bracket, and then some really cool prize that they could win, the winner take in this bracket tournament. I think that would be a fun expansion of Arena, and that would be a very cool feature for Raid to add in 2026. Another suggestion I have for 2026 is a expansion of the blessings. Let's go into the blessings here. So I think it would be really cool for them to do an expansion of the blessings, and instead of getting 2 options in each row here, I would love to see it where they would add a 3rd option in each row. So for the legendary options here, instead of just Intimidating Presence and Lightning Cage, I'd like to see them add a 3rd option in each one of these columns. I think adding another column to the blessings would add some really cool new customization for the characters and new options for the players in 2026. So I'm not sure about collaboration events for 2026. We had the Turtles event collaboration and the Alice event collaboration and the Alien and Predator collaboration in 2025. I think what would be cool for 2026 would be to have like a Mortal Kombat collaboration. Mortal Kombat would be the top of my list for IPs for Raid Shadow Legends to collaborate with. And I think Mortal Kombat would be something that would fit well within this game of Raid and be very cool and just a fun collaboration event. Next up on my list of something I'd like to see happen in 2026 is I'd love to see an actual Mythical Fusion event, maybe a month-long event or a 3-week-long event, something that we could have an event to build an actual mythical champion. I think that would be very cool. Some sort of useful champion. Maybe this could even be a Shadowkin Reviver champion. Who knows? Or it could be someone from the new faction. But I think it would be very cool to have a Mythical Fusion event in 2026. So to move on to the last section of the video here, I'd like to talk about the very best and the hits of 2025 for Raid Shadow Legends. First up, and I don't have an image of it here, but the Elhain minigame that they've done a couple of times this year was a cool and fun event. So that was kind of a pretty cool little win for Raid Shadow Legends and the community for this year. And it would be kind of cool to see something like the Elhain minigame event in 2026. Next up on the list here, we have Super Raids for Minotaur. So with the Minotaur Super Raids, now we're able to go into Minotaur and we're able to save time by getting double the rewards, by getting 2 rewards for every battle, which is very cool. And it sounded like they're going to implement a triple Super Raid in 2026, which would be a cool thing to do if people have the energy to do it. It's a time-saving mechanic, and it's something we have to do. I like having to fight these bosses anyway. I'm not a big fan of the instant battles, but having the instant battle come in Tag Team Arena in 2026 is probably going to be one of the wins of 2026. Next up on the list of wins in Raid in 2025 is Faction Wars Hard Mode. Now, I've already done my Faction Wars Hard Mode for the day, but this is a very cool new expansion of the Faction Wars mode, and it's giving people who have played the game of Raid for a long time something extra to do, and it makes use of the relics, which is another win for 2025. The relic system, even though it was created in 24, was a massive win for 2025. There was quite a few expansions of the relic system. We had all the different events, different kind of events use relics. If we go into the relic index here, we can see that we have the standard group, chimera group, event group, clan group, live arena group, faction wars group, and Grim Forest group. With the event group, we have the Alice's Adventure group, Chaos Awakes, and the Discovery, which was a Turtles event, and the Forge Pass group. So the relic system is another big win for 2025, and I'm excited to see how it's going to expand and improve in 2026. Next up on our list of wins for 2025, going over in our events, we can see that we have the new Grim Forest. So this new mode is a very cool mode, and a lot of people are singing its praises, saying it's much better than Curse City. I think it's much more player friendly than Curse City. The thing about this is you just need to have played long enough to develop a roster of 40 champions. But if you have a roster, this mode should be accessible to you, and it's a good mode that's tuned well. I like this system where you're able to draw your champions, and you can pick your champions from your list here. So for this, I'm going to pick Lazarius, Donatello, Tholen, Lemnisci, and Leonardo. Let's give this stage a shot and let's see what happens here. So I'm just going to auto this fight here just to show what this new game mode does. As you can see, Lemnisci is very useful in this mode. And the turtles are also very useful in this mode. You can see Lemnisci putting on her heal block there. And Lazarius puts his block buffs on. This is a really beautiful design mode. A lot like Curse City, but better. For the runner-up on the top wins of 2025 for Raid Shadow Legends, we have free gear removal. And now, free gear removal wasn't the biggest thing for me and wasn't the biggest win for me, but for a lot of players who've been playing this game a long time and who swap their gear around quite a bit for different modes, free gear removal was a huge win for them. It may start being a little more useful for me once I start swapping my gear around a little more. Gear swapping is not something I normally do a lot, but for a lot of people, gear swapping was one of the biggest wins of 2025. So what was the biggest win of 2025 for Raid Shadow Legends? You guessed it, it was the collaboration events. And we had several really good collaboration events. We had the Turtles collaboration event, we had the Alice collaboration event, and we had the Predator and Alien collaboration event. The only thing I think could have been done better with this event was maybe giving April O'Neil a revive and making her kit slightly better. They had to go and nerf her kit during her Titan event, which wasn't optimal. But aside from that, this was a pretty cool event, the Turtles event. Players who were able to get these champions, all four of these champions, now have a way to use these champions together to do a bunch of different type of things in the game. They can be used for clan boss, they can be used for PvE content. Some people even use them in PvP to set up their classic PvP defense team. They can be used in live arena. So these champions are pretty cool and useful all around, and this definitely was a big win. It wasn't a miss at all. For me, it was a little disappointing I didn't get Shredder. I did try to get Shredder, but he was available in a guaranteed event, unlike the Kurosa event. And I think these champions are very cool, and I'll be using these champions long term in the game. Now for me, the absolute biggest win of 2025 was how 2025 kicked off with this Alice event. Now this Alice event campaign and this Alice event may be one of the biggest wins ever in video gaming. This ad campaign for Alice and Alice's adventure in Raid, this is one of the most cool things I've ever seen in video gaming. Every single one of these characters is designed amazing. Their story intro into the game here is amazing. Look at their kits and look at their design on their uniforms here. Here you can see Alice transforming into Gothic Alice, which is very cool. She becomes the character here we see in the game. The way Raid takes these characters from a public domain IP and puts their own unique spin on them is very cool. This is a very cool crossover event with Alice's adventure, and for me, this is the biggest win of 2025. Alice here was a hard carry for my account for quite a while. Alice here can be used anywhere in the game. Currently, Alice is my campaign farmer. She's in many of my teams. She's in my clan boss team. She's in my Chimera team. I use her quite a bit in all areas of the game. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get Mad Hatter or Cheshire Cat. I was able to win the event for the Queen of Hearts for the champion training event, which was very cool. And it was very cool for that event to happen. And unlike the Chaos Awakes event, where we didn't get a guaranteed event for Kurosa, we did get a guaranteed event for the Queen of Hearts. And Queen of Hearts is, for my money, one of the top champions in the game. She's very underrated. She has a massive kit for PvP. She's such a great champion. The Queen of Hearts is probably one of the top 5 characters on my account. And I'm hoping that maybe in 2026 I'll be able to get the Mad Hatter and Cheshire Cat too. So this event was just such a cool event. Everything they did here was amazing. The kits look amazing. All the characters are awesome and useful. And for me, this Alice event was the #1 event of 2025. So that about wraps it up for today's video. Thank you all for stopping by. I appreciate everyone's support on this channel. If you've gotten some fun and enjoyment out of this channel, feel free to leave a like and subscribe. It helps out this channel, and it's one of my goals to improve this channel and to have a successful channel for 2026. I like to make good content for everyone, and hopefully you enjoy what you see in this channel. I'm wishing everyone a very happy New Year's Day, a New Year's Day week, and a start to the new year, 2026. Until next time, take care everyone.